What's up, guys? Welcome, Monster Motivator TV live in Carlsbad, coming to you real, raw, and live. As always, this is going to be a very, very powerful story. I'm very excited. We're looking at two authors right here. As you guys know, Knockout Fear in the first round. And the name of yours?
It's The Road to Success with Jack Canfield.
The Road to Success with the one and only Jack Canfield. And I have a really cool story about that. The very first book that I picked up in personal development over 17 years ago, this spiritual lady told me that the book was going to pick me, and I looked at her like she had three heads, right?
Yeah.
That was out of my world at that time. And Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen wrote it, and it was Dare to Win. And it became my Bible for like 3 years. I kept it, I highlighted it, I made notes. That was the first book that just got me on this path to personal development. So,
love it.
So very, very cool. Love it. So guys, make sure you tune in. If you have any questions, jump on. As always, we will have the Monster Moderator, Marion. She's going to give us some shout outs, and we're just going to keep rolling with this. So we're going to bring a lot of real life, real world wisdom and value. You can keep all the theory. I say, I want the real stuff, right? And the only way you get the real stuff is to live. And that's what we want. That's what we want to bring. So I'm excited to have you on. So, Tiffany, introduce yourself and let us know where you're from, where you're at today, and where you see yourself going. We're going to chunk this down and bring those golden nuggets right out. Okay. You ready?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Dave. What an honor. Oh my gosh. I really appreciate your time and for inviting me to do this. I'm Tiffany T. Ballard. I like to go by Tiffany T, though.
Okay.
And I'm from originally Orange County. However, I live in San Diego now.
So you're born and raised in SoCal?
Yes.
Okay, you know what we call that, right?
No.
Spoiled. I'm a kid from Jersey. This is paradise to me.
Of course you would say that.
So okay, born and raised in SoCal. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And now we just moved into our house here in Carlsbad.
Okay.
Love it in this area.
How long have you been here?
2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Oh wow! Congratulations.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, and I basically, what my purpose is in life is I help people wake up to their human potential, and help them realize the infinite conscious beings that they are, that we all are in this world.
So going back when you were, how was your childhood? How was school? How was everything for you? You know, going back to the beginning.
Do you have a couple days?
Absolutely. We're going to get comfortable.
Well, I didn't have the normal upbringing that most children do. Mm-hmm. And I'm so grateful for that, because that made me strong and made me who I am today. So
let's do this. This is where we are gonna dig into this, and I'll tell you why. This is what this show is all about. And I love that you said that, and you are gonna be the poster child, right, for this, because the demographic of women are very high for the brand, for Monster Motivator, and so many people and women are afraid, and they run and they hide from their story. And I love that you said that, because your story is not about you. Mm-hmm. Your story is about that other person you're going to be able to help. As soon as you can make friends with that story. And I love that you wouldn't change a thing, and that it made you the person you are.
Yeah.
How did you get there? Because it probably didn't, I'm sure it wasn't natural. I'm sure you had to, like everyone, you ran from it for a while. So how did you get there?
Well, I can't really say exactly the process, because it is a process.
Yes.
But I agree with what you said, that not a lot of people, especially women, come forward and share their story. Right. Yet, there's so many people that need to hear that. Right. And so how I like to relate is that's ego. Put your ego aside. Okay. Get it out of the way, and share who you are, because we're all beautiful. Mm-hmm. Like, everybody has their own purpose, their own intricate fitting in the world. So I'm just going to be really personal here. This is not PG-13.
No. Not even close.
So I started smoking crack at 11. Okay. I was shooting up heroin and cocaine by the time I was 13. Okay. And with my mother. Mm-hmm. I did 9 months in juvenile hall. We actually got arrested together. She went to prison. I went to juvenile hall. And I was obviously removed from that situation, and I had to go through, I was in the system, I was going to the court, my aunt and uncle took care of me for a while.
And how old were you then?
I was 13 or 14.
Okay.
And then my mom got custody of me back, and I graduated high school at 16. And
really?
I just got my stuff together, and I started college immediately. I was the youngest one at my college back in '99.
See, and here's the deal. This is living proof, right? In living color, right here. And I always say this because when you hear my story, right, it's as we say, it was a rough paper route. It's this, the beginning is not nearly as important as the finish. So, you know, that made you who you are to that point. So now you graduated high school. How old were you?
16.
Wow, man, that's amazing. That's amazing. And you went right into college.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes, and then I got married at 18.
Okay.
And I have nothing bad to say about my ex-husband. Our marriage lasted 12 years.
Okay.
And all back in 2012 is kind of when everything... Okay, sorry, that was just said it went off. So I got pregnant, and my daughter was very planned. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to wait till I was in my 30s to have kids, because, you know, I traveled, I did all the partying, you know, I got all that out of my system. And my ex-husband worked for the CIA, which was a really, really tough lifestyle. Wow. So he wasn't home that much. Right. And then, so what happened was when I was pregnant, and before that, I had escaped into drinking. Mm-hmm. During my marriage, I transformed into this person that I wasn't, because I had to fit in the cookie cutter housewife. And
what was that? Give us that, because again, this is going to help a lot of people.
Sure, everything where it looks like everything is perfect and cookie cutter on the outside, yet it's
that
not
white
on the
picket
inside.
fence is so deceiving, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, we had the perfect house, the perfect, you know, car on the block, even the perfect pets. I mean,
they were so grown.
But you know, and so I started drinking. I was never an alcoholic. I started drinking alcoholically though. This was like back when I was 24.
Now, before you do that, I'm just curious, right? Was there a time after you got done with drugs that it was a struggle not to go back?
Yes and no. For me, I honestly believe if I would have gotten into doing hard drugs like that at such a young age, I probably would have never touched them. Okay. Because drugs weren't my issue, but the issue was escaping. So I'm sure I would have used something
somewhere along the line there was going to be a vice. Right. To escape out of there. And for me, I used drugs very young too. I was always around the older crowd, but I got to a point where I just didn't want that feeling anymore. Mm-hmm. So I just stopped on my own, never went back. But I was done at 18, right? The drugs, the hard drugs. When I look back at some of the guys I grew up with in my neighborhood, they got into it, some of them got into it later, and they still can't shake it. So for me, whether it's right or wrong, I'm very grateful that I got out of my system young. I mean, starting at 14, 15, hard drugs, and then, man, just bang, done. Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying I haven't done hard drugs since then. It's just not addictively. I believe in everything in moderation.
Atta girl. We still gotta live.
But yeah, so going back,
So you're in the marriage, and you're obviously things are just not.
The first 6 years were awesome, and then we moved to Montana, where he's from. And then I was alone all the time. Like I said, he worked for the CIA constantly in Afghanistan, probably 6 to 9 months out of the year.
Wow, really?
Plus, it's Montana. I'm from the beach. So, but yeah, you know, it wasn't, we just grew apart and apart and apart. And so I started escaping. I wasn't with my friends and family. I didn't utilize the support that I had. And I got to the point where I would wake up, drink, pass out, wake up, drink, pass out. And that's what my days consisted of. Like, what a waste. And so. And
did you have kids at this time?
No. Okay. No, and then I'm Rh negative, the blood type. So when I'm pregnant, I went through 4 pregnancies before carrying my daughter to 8 months. Yeah. And I, which means I have to get a shot, otherwise my blood cells will kill her or him.
Really?
Yeah, it's crazy. Oh, wow. They say they're alien people. So I was super sick during my pregnancy. The whole pregnancy, my mom had to fly out 3 times to take care of me because I was alone all the time. I couldn't make food. I was throwing up constantly. Wow. And eventually I went into kidney and liver failure. I was hospitalized 4 different times during my pregnancy. And this is after the fact. I was 29 years old. So.
Well, why did your organs start to shut down?
Because of malnutrition. I wasn't able to keep anything down. Literally,
wow, that much?
I would dry
and
feed
the baby
all day.
Was still able to live, you know, because if you're not getting nutrition, the baby's not getting nutrition.
Right.
Wow.
And so, and then it was right after Mother's Day when I literally for 12 hours could not stop throwing up. So I went to the hospital and she was gone. And so this was at 8 months of pregnancy. Baby shower already complete. Everything was hospital bags were packed.
Yeah, everything was
and then my ex-husband wasn't there, and they made me wait 5 days to induce me. So so within that period, right before then, my stepdad, one of them, I have a few, my stepdad passed away.
Right.
I lose my daughter, and then I get divorced, all within a really short period. And I literally had a nervous breakdown for about 7 months.
And you were about 30 years old?
Yes, I was 30.
Wow.
I flew back home to California. My ex-husband bought me out of both of our properties, and alimony things. Even though I partied away, but I went through a really dark place in my life. I was broken, and I didn't want to live. I really didn't want to live.
Is that the worst you felt in your life?
Yes.
Even when you were in the drugs?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and I think I experienced such devastation that even my previous thick backbone couldn't stand. Because losing a child is, thank God I didn't have like real memories with her, you know.
Right.
I can't imagine.
Because you didn't get there, right. Right.
But, it got so bad, Dave, to where I was living out of my car and not because I didn't have anywhere to go, but just because I wanted to drink and escape. Oh. And I was literally trying to kill myself slowly. I just don't have the courage to get a gun out and pull the trigger. That's not.
Right. Well, that's it depends on how you look at it, but that's not really courage in my eyes anyway. Because living, breaking through, that's the courage. And we did a show on that last night because one of the chapters in my book is Fearless is Bullshit. And we hear this all the time, that if you're not fearless, you're never going to win, right? But being courage comes from the 3-letter word core, which comes from the inside. So when you feel the fear and you move forward anyway, that's courage. That's what you want to go after. But the fear is a real feeling that you want to learn how to manage and make it either your propeller or your anchor. Yeah. So now you're starting to. How are you? What's going on in your world? You're drinking. You're hiding your lifestyle, right?
Well, and I accumulated 2 DUIs, which they sent me to jail. I was facing a year in prison, and I fought that for 10 months. And I'd show up and be like, "Do you see me? I cannot go to prison. I'm going to be someone's bitch." Literally, no way.
Right.
So I fought it for like 10 months, and they ended up giving me 120 days. So I was grateful. I was grateful for that and not going to prison. And I did my time.
Where at? So you did your time in a rehab or
in Orange County Jail?
In the Orange County Jail. I was 19. I was in jail, so that was an aha moment for me as well. So how did that change anything? Was there a change in perspective when you got out? Were you a different person, or it didn't really affect you?
It definitely affected me and played a huge role. However, I don't agree with the criminal system at all. So I was very, I just focused. I didn't talk to anybody. I worked out 2 hours a day. I read like 40 books. I did affirmations in the morning and affirmations at night. And just really.
So you used it actually as a really productive time.
I did.
Okay.
And afterwards, I wouldn't say changed. I was just sober for a long time.
For 120 days, you started to actually
think and feel,
not be foggy, right? In your life for the first time in a long time. Okay.
Yeah, but I went back to the situation that I was in before I had to turn myself in.
Right.
And I just woke up one day. I've always had, I don't know whether you want to say it in the shoulder or in your head, that voice saying, "You are here to do something big. What are you doing? Why are you wasting it?"
Whatever you call it, right? Your shoulder, your head. I always call your inner GPS. When you can listen to that gut feeling, that inner GPS, that voice, it always steers you in the right direction. And when you don't listen to it, you're like, "Why didn't I listen to it?" So you started to feel that. Is this in jail? Was that the first time that you started to get introduced to personal development?
Oh, no.
No?
I've been in personal development since I was 16. Jack Canfield, The Chicken Soup for the Soul series was one of the first personal development books that I read.
Okay.
And then I got into Dr. Wayne Dyer, which The Power of Intention changed my life. Like, and then The Secret I've seen over like 300 times. No bullshit.
Right.
But yeah, I've always heard that voice. I like to call it my highest self.
Okay.
And you know, I don't know what it was. I don't know what happened. I don't know what took place. I just woke up and I said, F this. I'm not doing this. I'm getting myself together because I want to make a difference. And I know I have it in me. I need, like, I feel like I was just wasting away and wasting, like, I'm like, God didn't help me go through everything that I've been through previously in my earlier years. Right. To just bring me to do nothing.
Okay. You know? So there was just a time where you just said, this is it.
Yeah.
Enough is enough. You know, you get sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Right.
Is the old saying, right? So then you were in your 30s. Now, what did you do to start the transition and change your life and really become that next person? I always say, going through those fear barriers, going through those obstacles, you're either going to become that person to move next, or you're going to be, you know, brought back.
Absolutely. So what I did was I changed everything. Okay. I changed the people I hung out with.
Oh, yeah.
I stayed single for a long time. I worked on myself.
Yes.
I moved in with my family. I accepted help finally.
Right. Right.
I'm pretty stubborn sometimes, and I just did a lot of self-growth, reading, interacting with people, helping, giving back to the community, giving back in volunteering, working, doing my business, just putting my head down to the nose in the books and
just work,
just grinding,
and just working. So, you know, again, it's always the same recipe, different ingredients, but you're doing the same thing that everyone does to get themselves out of that, and not just get out, but to move forward. Because I always say action is fear's kryptonite. When you can take that massive effective action, you don't have time for that fear to overwhelm you. You just keep moving forward. So I love that you talked about that, because, you know, and then the environment. How important do you think environment is?
My environment?
Well, I mean, for everybody, really.
I think it's the most important thing.
Okay.
For me personally, my environment, if my environment isn't good, I'm not good.
Okay.
I mean, like, I like to do my affirmations every morning. I like to do my meditations, my angel time.
What's that?
It's just my personal time with my guides and angels.
Good.
And
Okay.
God, and that's what I refer to as angel time. But I personally think you could be anywhere and be okay still.
Absolutely.
But for like my serenity, my peace of mind, I like to just have my environment really neat, tidy. The people in it they don't have to, because I mean, I work with all kinds of people, but I think it's important to surround yourself with people who mirror you or like help you grow. Well,
you know what, and I'm glad you went there, and I'm going to give you my thought on this and see what you think about this, because you're a very spiritual person, and it's changed your life in so many ways. I am too, you know, just in my own flavor. But people ask, okay, how do I get into a different environment, or the bigger question is that you will hear as well, is this person and that person is so negative in my life, how do I get rid of them, or how do I they're my family, so I feel guilty. Here's the deal. At the end of the day, here's the bottom line, right? You leave that up to the universe. And when you keep raising your vibration, they're either going to come up and match you, or they're going to fall away. Either way, it's not your job. And I got the chills. When I was told that for the first time, it took all the pressure off, because it's not your job.
Exactly.
They're either going to rise up with you, or you're going to rise back. You're going to fall back down.
What happens is when you're vibrating at a high frequency, somebody who's vibrating at a low frequency can't match you. Do you see you're missing?
Exactly.
So when you raise your frequency up, you're going to raise to come into contact naturally with other people that are vibrating at your frequency. So we let the universe do all the heavy lifting. Obey the laws of the universe.
Let them do all the heavy lifting, because it's not your job. So I love that you went there. I always tell people, if you're still not convinced how important environment is, if both of us were born and raised in Dublin, Ireland, we wouldn't sound like we sound. I wouldn't sound like I'm from Jersey, and you wouldn't sound like you do. That's how important environment is, and how powerful environment is. You actually speak, you know, things, your whole world changes and adapts to that world, right? So if you're around that toxic environment, I always call them the energy vampires. They're going to suck the life right out of you if you let them, you know?
Yeah, I wanted to bring up a point because you said a lot of women tune in to watch your show. One of the main best things I've ever given myself was to stay single for a while.
So here's where I'm going to go with you. This is awesome. I love this, right? Here's the deal. At the end of the day, most women are caregivers to the core. That's their DNA. And they get so guilty because they don't want to put themselves first. They don't want to put themselves second, third. They want to put themselves in the back of the line. But what you're doing, I always say, you're going against nature. And when you go against nature, you can't win. And when you look at the animal world, right, the alpha in the pack always eats first, does things first to protect the pack for the next day. And at the end of the day, you're the single mom or the wife, you're the alpha, right? Absolutely. Within that pack. So if you don't put that oxygen mask on first, you cannot help the rest of your pack to the best of your ability. And the better you make yourself, the better everyone else around you could be. Please jump all over that.
Absolutely. And I always use that same example. Put your mask on first before your child, because the plane's going to go down either way. So, but yeah, the reason why I think it's so important to be single until you're ready, and there's not a timeline, okay? I'm not saying a year, 2 months.
There's no right or wrong.
You know,
exactly.
We're all on our own journey. So for me personally, I needed to love myself and learn to fall in love with my own life and not have any distractions, which I think men are a distraction.
Yeah,
so,
we're a huge distraction, and we're a lot of work. We're high maintenance. We're a real pain in the ass.
Women are too.
Just keep it real.
But being in a relationship, it's not about you.
No, it's absolutely.
It's about you as a team. And until you're ready to play as a partner that's qualified to be on a team like that.
Well, but think about this. The other thing you're really saying is what we just talked about. Your vibration is going to dictate who you attract.
Your pigger will be off.
Yeah, you're not going to attract who you really want to attract until you become that person. And that goes for your business and your personal world when you move up. And that's why so many people, when I talk about fear barriers and the fear of success, they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, what do you mean the fear of success? Really, the fear of success is you're afraid, who's that new person I need to become? What are my new responsibilities? And then all of a sudden, it stops you at that same point, and you get frustrated because you can't break through because you're afraid of success, but you can't identify it. You know, does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would do the same thing.
Yeah, and all of us, right? So you're become that person. Once you become that person, now you can attract that same energy, whether it's a spouse, a partner, a business partner, you know, so I love that. I love that you talk about that. What other advice can you give, especially women that are, you know, I'm just going to throw something out there. A single mom that's working 9 to 5, doesn't get a lot of time with her kids. Her kids are always in daycare, and she really wants to start that business, but she's afraid.
I would say get your intentions right first. Know what you want. Know what you're trying to create.
Get clear.
Yes. Okay. Get your intentions clear and put it out there. Start talking to people about it. Put it out to the universe and accept help. And talk about what you're up to, because how the law of attraction in the universe works is if nobody knows what you're doing, like everything that we accumulate or, you know, get into connection with is always by someone else, whether directly or indirectly. So if people don't know what you're up to or what you're trying to create or what you need help with or anything, how is the universe supposed to help you?
I love that. So get your intention, right? Your direction, your goal, whatever that is. And let's throw something else in there if we can. Let's really identify your why.
Oh, absolutely.
When your why becomes big, I would say when your why becomes big enough, you become you will get pulled through those fear barriers. When your why becomes bigger than you,
you will do whatever you have to do.
You will become unstoppable, whatever that why is. So is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you see my trunk video the other day?
No.
I rode home in the trunk on our way back to pick up the outside patio furniture, which I've never been in.
So make sure you reshare that. Reshare that.
Okay, just to get our patio furniture home, and I labeled it. Are you willing to do what it takes? Right. And I'm like videoing in the trunk. Hey you guys, I'm in the trunk here. And
that's awesome. Reshare that because when we get off and we reshare, you're going to be able to reconnect with people. So let's do this. Marion, I see we had some people jump on. Do you want to give us some comments or questions?
Yeah. Eunice Costasaurus says good night.
All right, Eunice, good night. Sleep tight.
And Frank Sagasta says awesome.
Oh, thank you, Frank. Thank you for taking the time and jumping on.
And Shane DeGray says, the Shane Trains love you all, my man.
There he is, my man. Philly in the house. Shane, thank you for jumping on, pal.
Okay, and Tim Campbell, get fired up. It's so true. Law of attraction, being true to yourself and God. Know what you want.
Right?
Absolutely.
Right? That intention, like you talked about. 100%, Tim, and I know you lived that life. He's another guy from SoCal that he's a worker. He's a mover and shaker and makes it happen. Tim, thank you so much for jumping on. Anybody else, Marion?
We got some shout outs from Gloria Madrona.
All right, Gloria, thank you. Thank you so much. I love her input is just right on point.
And Bruno Martin says, thank you for the inspiration. Lots of love from CT.
Yeah, that's right. Connecticut in the house. Thank you, Bruna.
Okay, and then we have Courtney Lynn Kirshner, a shout out.
All right, Courtney, thank you.
And then let's see.
Wendy?
Brian Kim, guest brother.
All right. Thank you. Hey, guys, make sure you share this feed. This is going to be some awesome value that we're going to reshare. Share it to the people. Let's see some hearts and see some thumbs up. Show us some love. So now you're getting out of that funk, right? Mm-hmm. And you just said enough is enough. And now you're starting to move forward. So bring us back to where you are now.
Well, now, this is in between 2013 and 14.
Was the time where you started to kind of rise above? Okay.
And it wasn't until last year, December of 2015, when I finally realized or understood, comprehended. There's a difference between understanding and comprehending.
Yes.
So I finally comprehended what my purpose was and started Tiffany Tea World. And
so give us your purpose.
Yes, my purpose is to wake people up to the fact that we're all infinite conscious beings, and to fall in love with your life and yourself. And I think women mostly don't love themselves or have enough respect for themselves.
Self-image, right? And I love that because your self-image, you can build it up, you can tear it down, but you cannot outperform it. Mm-hmm. I love that that's really the foundation of what I talk about. Everything maps to your self-image because we can't outperform it, right? But you can build it up. So was there any aha moment? How did you get there? How did you determine your purpose? A year ago.
Last December, yes. Well, I flew out to Nashville for a mastermind meeting it was 5 days.
Okay.
I'm still single, by choice.
Yeah.
And not looking or anything. And I flew out to Nashville and I meet Dino, who is my boyfriend now, and I just he showed me a different perspective in a different way. It took him 3 days to get my attention, first of all, because I was like, F men, I'm here for business, working on my business. And I wasn't ready for, I don't want to say ready in the sense where I wasn't looking.
Yeah.
I was ready.
You weren't consciously looking, but the universe knew,
Yeah. And then I'm meeting with all these people from the UK and Australia, potential business partners. And then this guy from San Diego, I'm like, that's weird. But anyway, so that whole transition and meeting him and who I didn't even give the time of day to, I felt so bad.
It was 3 days. That's good. I mean, he just kept going, huh?
He's persistent, and he always gets what he wants. His guy's big enough.
Right. That's right.
But that whole transition and just learning and just growing, it was such an important time in my life last year, this month and December of last year, that I just knew. I was ready to step into that. I was ready to step into my purpose. change everything and just do it imperfectly.
Exactly. Just figure it out, fall down, get back up. So when you finally gave Dino the time, what was the energy that you felt? There had to be some sort of major attraction, like a connection. Was it right off the bat? Once you opened up, once you gave him the...
Yes, and the first thing we started talking about, he came up over. I was sitting in the very front row because I always sit in the front when I'm at a conference, and I was the only one in the front row, so he came up and sat next to me, and we started talking about the law of attraction immediately, which I thought was really cool because I'm all about the laws of the universe, and law of attraction is one of the main things I live by.
Yes.
And so that right then and there was super awesome, and then so I was pretty much like interested in here. I wasn't really interested in him per se, just because of the hang up I had. And he's helped me work through a lot of issues, trust issues that I have, and a lot of just releasing and allowing and surrendering and letting go. So in the beginning, the first time I actually hung out with him for the first night, there was just that connection. We were able to look at each other in the eyes, not say a word for a long, long time, and just smile. And like our subconsciouses were communicating. And I had never experienced that before.
Yeah, it's real.
And I was like, wow.
But it's interesting, but you both had to become that person, right, to get there, and whatever that was, you just had to become that person to get there,
And he went through a personal journey too. He was single for a while, and we were just both focused on our businesses, and so it was just a really cool. This whole entire last year, I'm so happy and grateful for. And I say that all throughout the day for everything I'm grateful for, because I think gratitude is important. That's why I do the gratitude show.
Huge.
And I just, everything in life is just kind of like went, ever since that day, I made that decision to step into myself, into my purpose, to help myself so I can help other people.
Okay. How about when you decided to do that and you started to move forward, right? Mm-hmm. What were some of the fear barriers that you had to overcome?
Oh my gosh, my main one, my main one was sharing my story because I didn't want to hurt my family. I didn't want... You felt guilty. Yes, I didn't want to have haters. You know what? You're gonna have haters no matter what. Just get over it.
Okay. Right.
And putting myself out there, I was scared to do that.
Well, let's talk about that, right? Because social media, you're so out there. So when we talk about haters, here's the bottom line with haters: they are your fans. If they weren't your fans, they wouldn't spend so much time hating on you. They're just figuring out, they just do it in their own way, in a toxic way, but they are your fans and sometimes your biggest fans. So when you look at it that way, if that works for you, it changes everything. And I live my life in intention, right? I live my life this way. If I say a word or a sentence that offends you, but my intention is pure, that's on you. You got to figure that out, not me. If my intention isn't pure, that's a whole nother animal. But when my intention is pure, then that's on you, and I'm going to put my head on the pillow and I'm good.
That's exactly how I worked through that. I was like, you know what, I know at the end of the day, it's not about me. If I'm coming from a clear place of good intention, and I just had to release that and, not let that distract me, because especially with women, we care so much about how we look and our hair
and what people think and what they're saying. And I love that you talk about that, because I talk about fear barriers, as you know, right? So the fear of the unknown, the fear of the darkness, the fear of failure, the fear of success, all those fears, name them all. Almost every one of them maps to two fears. And I always say, when you can conquer these two fears, you've got the golden key: the fear of change and the fear of what other people think. And when you can conquer those fears, right, and we talked about the fear of what other people think, right? The haters are your fans, right? Your story is who you are, right? Share that and move forward. And the fear of change, I always say that change train is leaving with or without you. So you're either going to jump on or it's going to run you over, because it doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't care if you agree. It's the fear of change. So did you have any of that when you were transitioning, like
Absolutely.
change? Talk about that.
I had, like I said, I changed everything in the beginning. I raised my frequency up, and I had toxic people in my life. I even had guys in my life that I literally just had to stop talking to. And I made peace with that. I said, you know, it's not, I'm going through my thing. If you respect me as a person, you will know not to call me anymore. And you'll know that I'm going through this and this. And, you know, it's none of your business anyway. So this is what I am experiencing. So please support it. If not, I'm not talking to you anyways.
Right, we're just gonna move on, and eventually the universe will take that over for you, right? Because what they're saying is, man, I don't even know her. Man, you changed. You know, and they look at it as a change, but we know it's a growth, right? You're just growing as a person. So I love that. Yeah,
and the main thing is once I got clear and okay with me, who I am, my story, everything I've been through, and I've made peace with it, and I did the healing process with it, I really don't give a heck what anybody says or thinks.
Well, you become bulletproof.
Yeah.
Once you own that story, you know who you are, your self-image is strong enough to walk into a room, look them in the eye, shake their hand, know who you are, get on stage, share your story, you become bulletproof. And I always say the greatest gift an adult can give a child is a strong self-image. That's the greatest gift in the world, because nothing else matters unless you have that strong self-image, right? Especially as a kid, you know, falling back into the group mentality. Well, they're doing it, so I'm going to do it. That all comes down to your self-image and not knowing who you are. And as little kids and teenagers, it's hard enough, right? You got hormones bouncing everywhere. You know, it's craziness, as we know. So this last year, I mean, you've actually become a whole different person from.
Pretty much. I mean, it's been about a 2-year process, but this last year was where everything that I was applying, just working towards, kind of just snowball effect.
It just blossomed.
Yes.
And again, make no mistake, it's because you became the person to make that happen. And what's so cool about this is now you know that now this time next year, you're a whole nother person.
I'm so excited.
How cool is that?
And
right?
we're always evolving and growing and creating. And so we're not going to be the same person that we are today than we are next year, or tomorrow, even, or the week after. And that's good.
If they look at it that way. But here's what I find a lot, and I'm sure you do. We're either moving forward and we're growing, or we're moving backwards and we're dying. So if you think that you're staying the same, it's a myth. It's false. You're actually dying. You're not moving forward. And I love the message you share. It's about growth and expansion, and instead of contraction, instead of that fear, just go. Because at the end of the day, it could be over in 30, 40 years, or it could be over tomorrow. You know, you just never know. And one thing people say, you're a fear barrier guy, right? What are you afraid of? And I say, there's not even a second place. I'm terrified, completely and utterly terrified of regret. I do not want to get there and turn around and go, I should have. Why didn't I? You know, and so that's what drives me, and I use that as my propeller instead of my anchor. So I don't want to leave here with any regret. So I love that. So give us some advice for not just women, but people that want to find their purpose. How do they find their purpose? And also, how would they find their why?
And this is just my personal thing. Go inside. Because that's where it's located. And what I mean by that, spend quiet time alone. No TV, no radio, no noise, no nothing. Just be with yourself. Be and resonate with who you are, because that's the only way you're going to learn about yourself. You're not going to learn about yourself from watching something. You're going to learn by going within. And I don't mean that's the only way, but a lot of it is self-reflection is super important. And analyzing, and being honest with yourself.
Yes,
the honest audit. You have to hold yourself accountable.
The honest audit, yes.
I mean, if you don't do that, then there's really no purpose, because it's all an illusion anyway.
Right, so when you say, find yourself and meditate, right? And I want to be clear on this too, and I'm actually going to do a video on this probably tonight after we're done, because it's been on my mind, there's so many different types of meditation for me, right? And you have to know who you are. For me, it's motion therapy. When I'm in my truck, when I'm walking, and I'm walking my dog, or I'm on the treadmill, that's where I get, my head is the clearest, Like the gym for me is iron therapy, but the motion therapy, I can drive and drive and drive and just think and just think and just think. So you have to figure out what works for you. Some people, it's that room with the candles and very quiet, very, you know, that for me, you know, I probably wouldn't be able to do that very long. But you have to know who you are, what works for you, what is your Zen. And that's what I want to talk about, you know, identifying your Zen.
Well, there's also different extremes. Like I've seen so many people be like, well, I just can't get the meditation right. I'm like, there is no right or wrong way.
Right.
Everybody is different.
I love that.
So you need to find what works for you.
Yes.
And then do more of that.
Yes.
So
whatever that is.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. Just do when you're in that zone, you'll know. Yeah. You'll know. And I've tried probably 13 different ways of meditating. I've done guided, like I've done.
So what is your Zen?
My Zen every morning is right when I get up before I start anything in my day. Okay. Most of the time. I go outside, or if I'm traveling to a serene place outside, I don't really like to be inside. I like to be with nature. Okay. And I grab my affirmation book and a colored pen, either blue, pink, or green. Okay. That makes me happy.
That's all right. That's good.
And I put my headset on and I play a certain meditation music that's just really therapeutic. Okay. And I write out what I'm so happy and grateful for every single morning and how I want my life to look. And I do it from a future tense. Yes. Like as of like now. I'm so happy and grateful that my life,
yes,
you know, traveling the world, inspiring millions of people, sharing my story. And that is my meditation time. Then I just kind of sit and I just close my eyes and go within and I take some deep breaths and I spend some time in that place, in that zone. And then I look around and I appreciate everything. And I'm constantly saying thank you, thank you, thank you. And feeling the thankfulness.
Right, it's that gratitude, right? It's that attitude of gratitude that wins every time. And I always say, when you can tie that in with hunger, you got the winning combination. That's the dynamic duo.
I'm even like at times like, thank you for the fork I have to eat this meal with, you know, like super dorky like that.
Yeah, what a great energy, right? It becomes, because gratitude is, you just can't beat it. You know, you just can't beat it. When you're in a funk, I always say two things. Get out of your bubble, because there's people that are praying for your problems if you decide to look around, right? And I give this example all the time. Go to a children's hospital when a 12-year-old little girl is fighting for her life with cancer. She's the rock of the family, and the parents are trying to figure out how not to crumble, right? Because I give to St. Jude and Make-A-Wish, and I get the feedback. You literally can see those pictures where this little girl is going through chemo, looking at her parents, and they're ready to crumble. Like, you can see all that in one photo. So if you think you have it so bad, get outside your bubble. And so many people aren't willing to do that. Expand a little bit on that. What's your thoughts?
I think children are precious, and I think we need, as adults, we need to be more childlike, just in general.
Yes.
Because we lose sight along that somewhere along the way.
Yes.
Of that along the way. And I just think kids are just wonderful, and there's so much to learn from them.
And pure.
Yes.
Pure. Yes. You get a little kid, they're going to tell you the truth no matter what. It's so pure. Exactly. It's so pure, and it's interesting. I can tie into that and pull from that in my life, especially when I love starting the beginning stages of businesses, because it just gets my juices flowing, and it's like every day's Christmas, right? You're looking at that big package underneath the tree going, I hope that's mine, I hope that's mine, and that's, if you could do, that's why I love, I have such a connection for dogs, because I come home and every day's Christmas. He's just spinning and jumping and happy. He lives in the moment, right? I wake up in the morning, he knows he's going to get fed, and he's doing the same thing over and over. And I admire that, and I love being around that energy because it's so pure.
It is.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So, is there anything that we didn't, before we do that, hold on. Marion, is there anybody else that jumped on with comments or questions? Because it's way we'll know.
Yeah, Brian Cammy said you're the man.
Thank you, my man. Thank you for jumping on.
And Gloria Madonna says, I love the momentum and the summarizing that you keep in the video interview. Dave, rock and roll. Thanks for the shout out.
Oh, thank you so much, Gloria. And I love the fact that you're being so transparent and so real. This is what this show's about. And I just knew it. When we connected the first time, I could just feel that energy. So I was excited to be here. I know we're going to be interviewing your mom on Friday, so I'm pumped. I'm ready.
She's never done one ever.
That's it. I feel honored. I feel honored. Anybody else, Marion?
Tim Campbell says, Dave, you're so awesome. He has helped me out so much. Monster Motivator.
Hey, thank you, Tim. You're the one doing all the work, my man. Keep plugging, keep that grind. I hope your son's doing well.
And then Craig Myers, hi Dave, love this video.
Oh, awesome, awesome. We're going to reshare this, guys. And do me a favor, do Tiffany a favor, share this. Get this out there. This is stuff that people need to hear. And I keep saying women because really, honestly, you're that poster child, right? The start is not nearly as important as the finish. And for me, I'm that poster child for those guys, for the most part, that thought that if they didn't have that degree, and I was left back in the second grade, diagnosed with ADD, said I had a learning disorder, never graduated high school, 19, I'm sitting in a jail cell, looking at 8 to 10 if things don't go my way, right? So I wasn't supposed to make it. And I was told because I couldn't learn in that cookie cutter mode that I'm not supposed to win. And it's interesting when I tell my keynote, I just did one in La Jolla in the corporate world, it's people will come up after that you never thought in a million years, CEOs of corporations saying, that was me, or that's my son, right? Thank you, that's my daughter, that we didn't know what to do. And we thought because she couldn't get that degree, that that piece of paper on the wall, that she's not supposed to make it. You know, so when you share your story, that's the return that you get. Do you feel the same? Do you get that?
Absolutely. And I just think that that society has created a bunch, not on purpose, I don't think, but has created a bunch of us parents that like don't really understand or know how to interact with children if they have ADD or ADHD. I just started working with Brian King as a coach, and not because anything was going wrong in my life, right, but because I wanted to push myself to the next level. You want to get better. Yeah, I don't want to stay stagnant, you know. So, and he just puts things in such an amazing perspective because he himself has ADD and ADHD and Asperger's, and so does the 3 of his children. And the way he teaches and his learning style, it makes sense because not everybody learns the same way.
Oh my God.
You need to be adjustable and adaptable. And a lot of teachers don't understand that. And they're teaching.
There's no question about it. They drop the ball. And I'm a huge believer that personal development should be taught from day one. And way more attention should be put on EQ versus IQ. And thank God for me, right? I thank God every day that EQ is much more important than IQ in the real world. Because I'd be in major trouble if it was the other way around, because my IQ is lagging way behind my EQ. But I learned a long time ago that EQ trumps it all. And thank God for that. But there's also a way to enhance that in somebody. Just like you can enhance your IQ. You can enhance. I had a gentleman on in Carlsbad. He has an investing firm, and he's been doing it 25, 30 years, and he was that numbers cruncher. He got the degree just like everyone wanted. He did all, and he said when he turned 50, Rich Gaines, his name is, and he said something just happened. He said, what am I doing? And he actually worked on himself for almost 3 years straight and brought out his IQ or his EQ to the point where, now this was just a numbers cruncher, and he said when he had clients come in, he would try and time it to get them out as quick as they could so he could get back to his books. He now does keynote speaking and in costumes and acts out his message. I mean, I got the chills. Talk about completely paradigm shift, identity shift, to go from that to that was really really cool. So what's your thought on EQ?
I think life experience is way better of a teacher than in the classroom personally, and I think that I don't want to discredit anybody or anything. That's not my intention. my intention is to just, if I had a child, okay,
sure,
I would homeschool, and I would do other extracurricular activities for socialization.
Okay.
And also, it's so important these days, everybody has their own purpose. And if you can nourish that in a child from day one, and not try to force them to be anybody that you want them to be, rather than who they are.
And here's the other thing. Identifying why you want them to be who you want them to be, because that's your issue.
Exactly.
That's your problem.
Exactly.
That's you, because you don't want your neighbors to think that your kid doesn't have that degree. Instead of, and that's why I have such admiration for some people. Someone asked me not long ago on a podcast, they said, "Or do you regret anything?" And for me to really answer that I had to think about it a minute. And my real answer to that is the one thing I regret. If I could go back and change one thing, that would be to find my purpose early on. So when I see these kids that are skateboarders, motocross, athletes that have been living their passion from day one, and then their parents are backing that, right? Taking out a second loan on their house because they believe in their kid. That to me is just magic. That's absolutely magic, that if we can bottle that and inject that in more parents, it would be so cool. That's one thing I wish I could, you see a guy like Rob Dyrdek, right? He's been skateboarding, getting paid for it since he's 11 years old. Like I look at that and I'm like, man, that is so badass. I mean, that is, talk about living life on your terms from the beginning. So I agree with you. I think that there's a, you have to take ownership. So I think as a parent, you have to take ownership, and as a teacher, you have to take ownership and start to look outside that box. And because I never, ever for a long time ever thought that I'd be considered creative, right? Where I grew up and everything creative. What are you, crazy? Right? That's just not the way it was. But I'm a very creative person. When it comes to that part of our business, I could never identify myself that way until I got into that personal development, until I started to grow and really understand I didn't want to go there because it was fear, right? Fear of whatever people thought, fear that I was going to look weak, fear that I wouldn't be allowed back in the neighborhood, right, if you will.
Especially by the roads.
Right, but that's fear. That's a fear-based mentality that limits you from moving on. Anything that you want to share before we jump off?
Just to parents and teachers really quick.
Okay.
I know sometimes in life we take occupations that are for money or whatever. And then just to everybody in general, once you find your purpose, and focus on it, and you're right with you have your intention, you know your why, you don't try to change anybody else. Whether it's your significant other, whether it's your child, whether it's anything outside of you, like you can't. Exactly. There's no such thing. So why? I always recently my new thing is that I've learned and I'm experiencing is everything I'm going through my own experience. It's nobody else's experience. So when I find myself, because we're all human, and I'm not perfect, I'm freaking far from it. Right. But when I find myself maybe judging or get into a place where I'm like, you shouldn't be like this, I'm like, whoa, what is that inside of me? What is that? What's going on inside myself? Oh, so then I take a step back, self-analyzation. Okay, this is why, and then I work through it and move on. So I know that nothing outside of me can be changed, and I cannot control anything. The only thing that I can control is my attitude and the way I show up and respond to things. And your perspective, your perception on life, right? So I love that you went there, because let me follow up with that, because I love that. So if you are that person, you are that parent, you are that teacher, you are that coach, right? That is pushing a kid to go into they're a round peg, and you're trying to push them in a square hole, right? Step back and ask yourself, why are you doing that? Because that comes from you. I love that. I love that you have to, and that's a scary thing. It is. That's a very scary thing for people to do when a kid sits at base, because they have to now look inside themselves, right? And so many people aren't willing to do that. I love that we can end with that. Marion, is there anybody else before we jump off that we want to give a shout out?
Yeah, Mark Duncan, Dave the Monster Moderator.
There you go.
Motivator.
We got the moderator and the motivator here. Thank you.
I forgot.
Thank you, Mark, for jumping on. I'm sorry?
Robert
Oh, Bob, what's up, brother?
He says, hey, what's up, Dave?
Hey, what's up, man? I'm glad you finally made it. Glad you jumped on, and make sure you share this for me, big man.
Okay, and Mark Duncan.
Okay.
Don't stop until you turn it around.
Right? Don't stop until you turn it around.
I agree, if that works for you.
Right?
Your way blood good, just turning in, Dave.
You know, I don't know if you're connected with Wade. You guys would really connect. He's a real spiritual guy and shares a lot of great content. That would be a great contact. So, guys, as you know, once we jump off and we reshare this, Tiffany's going to be able to jump on, reconnect with you guys, and make sure you connect. And if you have any questions, you just want to connect with her, that's why she's here. If you can't find her, I know where she is. Just reach out to me. But we're going to reshare this. We're going to all reconnect. And this is what it's about. It's always about creating, not competing. And that comes from a courageous mindset. So, guys, as you know, we always end the same way. We end with the Monster Motivator roar. Now, are you familiar with that?
I've practiced it very many times.
That a girl. So let me break this down. We're doing this for a reason, not just because it's fun. I always believe, Tiffany, that we're in one state of mind at a time. So if we're in gratitude state, we can't be in victim state. If we're in victim state, we can't be in gratitude state. But if we can be in unstoppable state most of our day, wouldn't that be cool?
Absolutely.
And life, I always say life makes the rules, right? You don't make the rules, I don't make the rules, life makes the rules. And life always gives us choices. And life says, Tiffany, you want to purr like a kitten or roar like a lion?
Roar like the Leo I am.
That a girl. So on 3, we're going to end this with the Monster Motivator roar. Ready, baby? 1, 2, 3. That a girl. So we're just going to hit that, click that twice.